and welcome back to my awesome YouTube channel. Today we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna be making a stuffed animal because I like those. So we're gonna be making the Lemon Demon Alba hip to the Java Bean as a stuffed animal. He's a little pillow man. Um you know, he has a cup of coffee or something. I don't know. I just wanted to make it to go with the other thing that I made last video because, my current hyperfixation, I guess, you know. So here, I'm using I'm using an old t-shirt for the fabric actually because I didn't have anything else and I didn't want to go to the store. And so here I'm sewing all of I'm sewing the main body portion right now. I just cut out a big chunk and like and I used the side of the t-shirt so I only had to sew the bottom and one side. Well, two sides I guess, but you know, counting the top after I stuffed it, but we don't talk about that right now. So I'm just doing a gather stitch because that's literally the only thing I know how to do. So, we don't talk about my bad sewing abilities, limited sewing abilities, I mean. But it works, I used yarn, yarn fluff from making yarn wefts for doll hair. And I did use some actual yarn because I ran out of yarn fluff. And yeah, so I just sewed the top using a ladder stitch, or at least I tried to, or something. Honestly, I'm not that good at sewing. I tried my best, guys. I used some pins to hold the top together so I could just, sew it together, you know? And I think the form of the body is good. And here, I'm using a different white fabric, I don't know if you could tell. And I'm making a pillowcase, in parentheses, I'm making a pillowcase for the pillow because it's a pillow man, you know. Now I am aware that the album cover has little the stripes on pillows that the actual pillow, it has blue stripes. Yeah. I didn't do that because that's too much work and I was too lazy to do that. I couldn't really figure out a good way to do it either. So I'm just sewing up the pillowcase and I put the pillow body inside of it to make sure that it would actually fit the pillow inside of it because that's what a pillowcase is for. So I just pinned it there and I sewed it up. And I tried to make little points, I tried to sew on little points, but yeah. Here I'm making his little arms, and I'm gonna put wire inside the arms so they're more poseable and also so they can hold their shape better because I just wanted to have that as an armature. So he has bones. He does have bones. So I'm gonna just put the wire inside of the pillow body, going down, and then I'm just gonna sew on the arms, messily, because I don't really care if the stitches show, because that's kind of his whole thing, is that, you can see all the stitches, I guess. I don't know. And he doesn't really have hands. They're kind of just blobs, but, we love him for it. He just has little blob hands. I tried to sew on fingers, but it didn't really work out. Yeah, I don't know. It was... So, yeah. I literally ran out of white thread, halfway through this project, I swear. And, yeah. So here's me trying to sew on the fingers, but it doesn't really show up. But, what can you do? So now I'm drawing on, the guideline for his mouth because I'm going to try to do embroidery. So you guys get to see me figure out how to do embroidery. And you could see my phone in the corner of the screen where I'm looking at reference of what he looks like because, you know. So, how I did the embroidery was actually I used like a smaller needle to like poke a hole, and then I used my big embroidery needle with the embroidery thread, and then I put it through, and then I just like did it, you know, like that to make it an actual line. And yeah, and I just kept doing that. It was a very tedious, long process. You can see my head. I'm very sorry. My head got in the frame. So, yeah, I don't really remember how long the embroidery took. I don't think it took that long. But yeah. And the needle kept falling off the thing, like the thread kept falling off the needle. So I embroidered all of his eyebrows and stuff off screen. And now it's time for his little coffee mug, because he wouldn't be himself without his coffee mug. You wouldn't like me without my coffee. I'm very sorry. So I made it out of craft foam. I made his coffee mug out of craft foam, and then I sewed it. I held it together with a pin, and I sewed it shut. It was not very structurally sound until I was finished, so I kept like having to hold it really tight. Um, so yeah, I used a white thread because I didn't really care about the color. So, and then I made a really tight knot so it wouldn't come undone. And then I super glued it back onto the craft foam, and then I cut off like a circle around the bottom for the bottom of the cup. That's what I did. And I got super glue all over my scissors. So now we have his little button eyes. I don't have buttons in the right color, so I'm going to paint them red. And, yeah. I think I did like 4 coats of paint. I didn't bother painting the backs of them because, you know, no one's going to see that. And, yeah. And I also painted the mug blue, like the coffee mug, like this like bluish green color. I don't remember exactly what the color of paint is called. And I think I did like 3 coats of paint on the mug just to like cover up all the holes of like the craft foam. And then I painted on the little logo onto his coffee mug. It's a lemon, obviously. And then I wrote LD, obviously, for the logo with a paint pen, my thin paint pen. And then I covered the eyes with matte Mod Podge just to, you know, protect them, which they ended up getting scratched. Now, if you're wondering why it's got stained white, well, it got stained blue. The reason for that is the pen I used, when it gets wet, it bleeds everywhere. So I tried my best to clean it up, but you know what? It adds character. You know, it's fine. So then I pinned the coffee mug back onto his hand, and then I sewed it on. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention, I painted the coffee in his cup, and I got a picture of him in my Christmas tree, so here he is.